What is up, Rob? How you been?
Matt, how are you? It's been a wild ride, I
Yeah,
think, and that's probably an understatement, right?
I was gonna say the least. I
Ay, ay, ay.
think buyers are starting to become a little more active, though. I've
Yeah.
noticed. I mean, what do we got? Four in the pipeline right now,
Wow.
compared to none.
Right.
A month ago. Like,
True.
I mean, they got to do something though, as far as some kind of incentive. We had
Yeah.
something for a little bit and then it got shut down. And, they got to come up with a good product, something that will attract people back.
Yeah, that's an interesting observation. I think Matt, we're gonna see. I mean, I've told you before. We're not in the business of speculating nor predicting because most of the time we get it wrong, right? Or there's something. It's really hard to get it, and even the experts and the economists don't get it right. Uh, but last time we talked, we did have a conversation similar to this where we were talking about what do you think is going to happen, and it's the end of the year, so it might be a good opportunity to talk about that. It's interesting what's happening. The Fed is really set on fighting inflation. I mean, we've seen 4 or 5 different increases in the money rate,
Right.
and that has impacted mortgage rates, which has impacted our business, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's celebrating last week's meeting because they didn't raise it as much, but they still increased it. So
Right.
I don't think it's a reason to celebrate that they slowed down. It's like saying, hey, we're not as bad, but we're still bad, right? Like
Yeah.
it's still bad, right?
No, we're just taking a little of the sting off it for you.
Right. And that was December 14th, which was that was last week. Everybody thought, I mean, the rates are already absorbing a lot of what's going on, but there's still, the first couple of days after the increase, nothing happened. Rates actually stayed soft. But today, I'm just keeping an eye on the market, and the rates are getting a little worse now. So,
Yeah.
basically, that's an indirect way of saying, yes, I think you're right. There's two things that can save or can improve the market. One is home prices continue to go down as a way of adapting to the demand, right? That has diminished significantly because of rates. And whoever needs to sell a house, they need to sell a house. So they're going to have to be more flexible in terms of how much they can charge for it.
Right.
And the government is going to have to intervene somehow or help, not intervene. That's a big word. I don't like the government intervening in anything, but they're going to have to figure out a way to incentivize buyers,
Yeah.
especially first-time home buyers, so that it's easier and more affordable for them. Because right now it's not affordable and it's not sustainable.
Well, what are some things like from your end, that mortgage companies can do to incentivize? Is there any give there? Like, can you offer different products or different services, or what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, absolutely. There's different programs, right? Mortgage companies don't have a lot of wiggle room
Right.
in terms of what they can do. It's interest rates, points, and basically service, right?
Mhm.
So those are the things that kind of differentiate one mortgage company from the other. And I mean, just being a little creative about the things that you can play with. Buy down are very popular right now. There's 2-1 buy downs. There's also permanent buy downs. There's a lot of people talking about the 2-1s because they're making an assumption. The way that works is you buy the rate down for year 1, year 2, and then it goes back to normal year 3.
Okay.
That's kind of a very generic way of saying it, and it's cheaper than a permanent buy down, which you end up
Right.
paying points for the whole 30 years of the mortgage. Is it worth it? No, sure. You're making a bet that rates are going to come down in the next 2 years, which is a pretty safe bet.
Right.
I'd rather not have to spend the money, and then just basically, if you're really sure the rates are gonna come down, if you can afford it, just do a permanent buy down, um, um, or just buy at the market and refinance in a year or two when the rates come down, right? So
Right.
we'll see. I mean, I don't want anybody listening to this to say, okay, Rob said to do this, so I'm going to do this. I mean, every case every case is unique, every case is specific. So,
Right.
and the best way to do it is just to talk to a very reputable mortgage advisor like Snapfire or any other company that you trust, and make sure you have that person on your side looking at all the different options. But yeah, other than that, Matt, is working with the government. We've been working with the government for many years now, and making those programs available to customers directly. I think is at the lowest possible cost is what we can do at this time, just to make it
Right.
sort of fight back a little bit of what's happening in the industry. But let me let me turn the tables a little bit. You tell me what are you doing on the, this is on the lender side, but what are you doing on the realty side to keep people engaged, right? Because some
Right.
people lose a little bit of hope. Some people, think, oh, I can't really afford it. Some people are realizing, hey, buying a house is a little bit more than a rent, so I'm not sure if I want to
Yeah.
do that. Like, how do you have those conversations? What do you do to make it more palatable for them to actually stay in the market and buy right now?
Luckily here, rents are super high. And so, it almost just is a no-brainer to go ahead and get yourself into a purchase situation if you can, because I mean, it's like you're going to pay $2,500 a month for a landlord not to take care of the property,
Right.
or are you going to pay $2,500 a month to own no property? And at the end of the day, in 5 years, that property is going to be worth more.
Yeah.
So why not
Right.
purchase it? If it's not worth more than 5 to 10 years, you rent it out to somebody. You become that landlord and you do it right.
That's correct. Yeah.
Or you sell it and you capture the equity, and it's the best investment in your lifetime. That's really the conversation I have with people when they're renting. But one thing that I really like to do, Rob, is just like back to the basics, grassroots marketing. I mean, that with the last promotion that you sent over, I was like door knocking apartment complexes and, duplexes anywhere that, because, where do renters live? They live in rentals. So why not put yourself in front of them, introducing yourself, providing something that they can hold and see, an icebreaker, and then you have something to talk about, and I look forward to a program like that coming back again. But we do it all the time. Like Janelle come up with a flyer, and just a generic flyer, like, hey, it's a great time to buy, with a smiling couple on it or whatever. And we just take it around and meet people and talk to people, and we make sure that we take a note of who we're reaching out to, and that way we can stop back by in a couple of weeks, say, hey, like, stop by, here's another flyer, throw it in the garbage, put it on your fridge, whatever you're going to do with it, but it's here with our information on it. And just staying in front of people, that's really important, I think, right now, is communicating with your base. Anybody, and this goes not just for realtors, right? Like, this is anybody in sales. So your loan officers, I mean, same thing. They've got to stay in front of their base. They've got to be reaching out to their sphere of influence on a daily basis. I mean, something like email a Christmas card or text message somebody a Christmas card, saying Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Chanel's been doing that. She's been going through our database of like 1,000 people, and personally with her thumbs sending the text message out to everybody. And she's been getting great responses because everybody wants to hear Merry Christmas. They know who we are.
Yeah, that's so true, Matt. That's so true. And I think at the end of the day, it's adding value, right? Like, we're fighting against inertia, and inertia is people keep doing what they're familiar with, and people who are renting, they just keep on renting because that's easy, as familiar. And it's scary, like looking at numbers, getting pre-approved for a loan, looking at houses. Just the whole idea of owning a home just feels like a big responsibility to some. So that's what we're fighting. We're fighting with inertia, and to when you're fighting with that kind of consumer inertia, you have to be in front of them constantly, reiterating the value of owning a home, the benefits of, it might be a couple $100 more than the rent that you're paying for, but it's your house and it's your equity, and you're separating yourself from from the renters that would continue to rent for many years to come and continue to make a landlord rich. I am a landlord myself, so
Sure.
I would like for them to continue to rent, but at the same time, I know that's not sustainable and it's not healthy for a financial future. So
Right.
I like your idea. My tip for the day on follow up and follow through is block it. Block the time during the
Yeah.
week consistently,
Right.
3 hours, 4 hours, whatever it is, to touch on your. Yes, robots can do a lot. Yes, automation can do a lot. I do a lot of automation myself, but
Right.
it doesn't replace the human touch and it doesn't replace the human connection. So block it and force yourself. It's like going to the gym. Like, force yourself to go to the gym when you have to go to the gym, and you might
Yeah.
not like it that day. It doesn't matter. Just go and do it. Right? It's the same thing with follow up and follow through. Block it on your calendar. Live by that block
Yeah.
of time and do it. Even if you miss it once, like every couple of months, that at least that's 80% success, right? So
Yeah.
um, it's a great insight from you in terms of staying on top of your customer base and making sure that they know that you're here to help them. So
Yeah. And I think that people can really tell when they're being botted. I've noticed that when I send out a mass email,
yeah,
I get a whole lot of nothing. And when I get something back, it's something super negative, like stop emailing me or leave me alone, like I'm going to put you in spam, that kind of thing. Whereas when you actually take the time to send a personal email, they can tell it's from you and not your CRM. Uh,
right,
the response is different. Like, they
yes,
respect it more when you take the time out of your day to send them, to spend time with them, basically, is how it comes across, right?
yeah, yeah,
And like you said, the human touch, I mean, it's got to be there. People like crave it, especially this day and age with all the technology. I mean,
everything.
all they're doing this day and age is like spam phone calls and emails. I mean,
We're all fighting them. We're all
you see
fighting
it
them.
advertised all the time, like, you want to stop spam, download this app, and
Right.
like, so if you want to reach out to your base, you got to do it personally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, we should be doing this once a week because I think you have some great insights.
Yeah, this is fun.
Awesome. What else? Anything else for the day?
I mean, we talked about how the market's trending. We talked about what realtors and loan officers and anybody in sales needs to do. Do you have anything else?
Well, I not really, but the thought of the day, I woke up this morning and I just I have I noticed the industry is changing significantly, right?
Yeah.
And we haven't seen the kind of the core of it yet, to the core of the changes yet. I think, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, the Fed is set on fighting inflation, so that's going to continue to impact this industry. We've already seen a couple of big companies fold or close up or reduce operations significantly. Many smaller brokerages, both on the realty side and the mortgage side, are going to have to figure out what they're going to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with any shift in the market, like, there's always some opportunity there.
Yeah.
It's sad. I mean, a lot of, on the real estate side, a lot of realtors are going to quit because the last 2 years haven't had to work very hard.
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty easy to get on a phone call with somebody and score a listing when the prices are like $130,000 overinflated, but now that they're not, and you've got to really work hard to find that buyer that wants to buy, and you're not working as much with listings as far as we did last year and the year before. A lot of people don't want to get on the phone, don't want to knock on doors, don't want to do all those super basic stuff.
Yeah, our CEO says everybody's working twice as much for half the results. So you're absolutely right. I think it's going to be a natural cleansing, if you will, of the industry in terms of those who are not effective, who are not here to work and really help people, are going to have to find their way out. And I'm already seeing it. We already had a couple of our loan officers who decided to find something else to do, which is, I get it. I mean, I no disrespect to anybody. I think it's absolutely natural. Like, people start thinking about what they want to do with their lives and whether they're going to stay in the industry when the industry stuff. And But I think that effect is going to be pretty significant, and we're going to see it in the first quarter, which is typically the low season for us. So
Right.
and for you guys as well. So we'll see what happens. What I do know is that this is not sustainable, which
No.
it leads me to believe there's better days ahead. The question
Absolutely.
is when would that happen? When would that start turning? Is it at the end of the winter, at the beginning of springtime, or is it going to be in the summer? We'll see. But we're here to stay. Sounds like you guys are too. So
Oh, yeah. And I was gonna say, like, in the meantime, it's just a fun time for us to find opportunity. And I mean, buyers have, good news is that buyers have more negotiation power. I mean, it's a whole lot more fun having a conversation when with a buyer when they're actually stoked about buying
Yeah.
something, because they can say, yeah, I don't really want to spend that, or yeah, I'll give you full price, but we're gonna need a
And
12,000.
that is a great thought to close today's conversation,
close.
Matt. I think it's a great thought to kind of finish this in a very positive note, which is if and I always tell my, our customers, when they say, hey, is this the right time to buy? Is this the right market? It feels like it's a little icky and weird, and prices might be coming down, and the rates are a little high. And my answer is always very consistent to them. The best time to buy is when you are able to buy, not when the market is perfect. Because guess what? When people try to time the market, most of the time they come on out on the losing side, because it's almost impossible to time the market. So they have purchasing power. They do have leverage. They do have the ability to negotiate, and all those things are positive. So if you can sustain a little bit of the higher rates that we have for the next year to come, there's going to be a refinance at some point. There's going to be just focus on being able to afford that monthly payment. As long as you are, and no loan officer should get you into a loan that you can't afford it. It's illegal, right? But if you can afford it at for a year or two to come, then go for it. Get the house, and then readjust later. I think is a very positive way of ending this conversation today.
For sure. Hey, thanks for coming on, Rob. We'll talk to you soon.
Awesome, Matt. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.